As you drive across the Gerald Desmond Bridge at the Port of Long Beach, you'll see thousands of steel boxes of all colors below you. Cargo containers full of merchandise headed to our favorite stores or ready to be shipped abroad. Thousands of containers, thousands of trips, and thousands of stories. Have you ever wondered about the stories behind these containers? That's what we asked Alan Bates, terminal manager at SSA, to help us understand. Step one, of course, is that they are manufactured and sold and/or leased to a shipping line. Then, each container is assigned a unique 7-digit number, kind of like a personal security number, that not only provides a basic description of the container, but is also used to track its journeys.
From the terminal standpoint, it tells us the steamship line, who the container belongs to, the cargo that's in the container, whether it's an import or an export, full or empty, destination. It can be going to the rail, it could be going to a local delivery. If it's an export, it'll tell us what port of discharge and what vessel it's going to.
The container is the property of the shipping company, which assigns it to specific jobs. Say, for example, the shipping of television sets made in China for delivery to Target here in Southern California. First question, how many TVs fit in one container?
A 20-footer, you're looking at a 20-foot box. It's approximately 8 feet wide, 8 feet high. And realistically, you could take probably 150 to 225-inch televisions in boxes that would fit in that size of a container.
The container, now full of TVs, would be taken to the ship and loaded either below deck or above deck along with thousands of other containers. But does weight or order matter? And how do they make sure they won't fall off during the voyage across the ocean?
As they're loaded, there's what we call locking cones on all 4 corners of the container. As each container lands on top of the next container, those 4 corner locking cones will lock, which secures that container now to the container below. And then as we stack higher, there's cones in between each container on each corner. And there's also what we call lashing bars, where we lash the bottom 2 tiers all the way across, and then we also lash the 3 on the outside. And that's also to help secure the containers as they load on deck and as they're out to sea.
According to Alan, containers rarely fall overboard, but accidents do happen, especially when the weather is really rough. Experts say that a small percentage, an estimated 2,000 to 10,000 containers, do fall every year, like in November of last year, when thousands of Dorito brand tortilla chip bags washed ashore the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
There's been situations where, heavy storms and bad weather where containers can get knocked off, but in the years I've been down here, I think I've seen it happen maybe 2 to 3 times, at least at the terminals I've been at. But yes, it does happen, but again, you'd be amazed. You'd think it would happen more, but it doesn't happen as much as people think.
Now that our TV-laden container has safely made it across the ocean, it will be unloaded by a giant crane and temporarily stored at a port shipping terminal. Here at Pier A, there are 15 different rows, laid out in 3 sections, making it possible for the container to be placed in any one of the 45 separate areas in the yard, not to mention stacked 5 high. Why 5, you might ask?
Currently we go 5 high with both empties and loads, and that is mostly done because the machines that we own or that we use are only certified to go so high at a certain weight. So we basically couldn't go beyond 5 high at this point.
In one of these areas, the container will wait for pickup. When the driver arrives with his empty chassis, he will pull into the gate, give the container ID number to the operator over the speaker system, who will then tell him exactly where the container is located. Knowing the layout of the yard from prior trips, the driver will now go directly to the right area and have the container loaded onto the truck chassis. On his way out through the gate, the truck and container will be weighed to make sure the weight matches the specified weight. This weighing step, by the way, takes place for all containers and trucks coming into and leaving the yard.
Each container has its own, based on its size and type, has a maximum tear weight that's allowed. So you basically can't exceed the weight of that container, the safe weight. Otherwise, it damages the integrity of the container. The container could rip open. The bottom floor can fall out. So we have to be real careful that the containers come in are within the weight specifications of that container.
So now what happens? Well, our container will be driven to the Target warehouse, unloaded, and then assigned to another job. In its average 20-year lifespan, Each container will make thousands of voyages and visit cities all over the world, carrying everything from TVs to tennis shoes to scrap metal.
Depending on the normal wear and tear, you can have containers that are 20 years old and some that may last just a couple years because either they were dropped, damaged, or depending on the type of cargo they had in them, you know, the insides got a little tore up, but it can vary from 1 year to 20 years.
These sturdy containers may not look like much, but as you've seen, they are the backbone of the shipping industry, making it possible for us to transport goods all over the world.